Alright, welcome back to the channel, boys and boys. So as you can see in front of you, this fourth video of the channel is gonna be follow-up for the third video that I made. If you haven't been keeping up or haven't seen that video, it's basically me going through somewhere between 85 and 100 Runick variants, but we're gonna pretend it's like exactly 91, for lore reasons. And basically I went over these decks and put them in a tier list without explaining what they do and how they do what they do. So this video is gonna be me showcasing, well, trying to showcase, as you can see from the title, how these decks are generally played. And basically I wanna showcase how I, as the technical Runick player of Yu-Gi-Oh, actually plays Yu-Gi-Oh. So yeah, with all this babbling having been said and done, this video is gonna be me going over 5 free plays, and I'm just gonna showcase a few decks, one from each tier list that I made back then. So yeah, let's get down to it. It is... Whoa. Okay. But yeah, this is me playing the Earthbound Runick FTK versus a Fiendsmith Ryziel opponent. And luckily I went first with them having 0 hand traps. But sadly, I did not open the FTK. We're just gonna go Line Walker effect on normal summon, add the Harmonic Synchro Fusion, and then we're gonna activate... Okay, so we are gonna activate here the Slumber to special summon, and then Tip to add. And the basic idea here is that I could have go only Tip to add, and this would have played around roll a little bit. But this way I was trying to hedge my bets against both Ash Blossom and Perulia. It's better to play around 2 hand traps than 1. If you use Slumber as Chainlink 1 and then they use Perulia, you can just use another card to special summon again. If they use Ash Blossom on the tip, then you can proceed with adding off the Slumber summon anyway. But it is also going super hard into double hand traps on both of your Runicks there. It's a little bit rough in this meta, in 2025's meta. But this is what I consider correct. Like, this may seem a little bit of an odd way to play it, but I personally consider it correct. So yeah, anyway, we add Fountain naturally, because why would we go -1? And so since we actually succeeded at adding Fountain, I decided to play a little bit more to try and build a board. So yeah, we're gonna summon Gary just because we can summon Ancient Fairy Dragon and... what is it again? Gremlina, I think it's called. So yeah, special summon Gremlina. Gremlina effect will add an Earthbound, and this is actually kind of fun. Basically, Ancient Fairy Dragon can summon whatever you add off of Gremlina. So it's not like this is a completely dead... Like, Gary plus a Line Walker isn't like the most dead combo in the world. So yup, Groundkeeper summon from the hand. Effect to summon the Stone Sweeper from deck. And this is gonna go... yeah, this can go a lot of ways, but I decided to go into Geogriffin. Geogriffin will summon back a Tuner from the graveyard. This could be a lot of things, like if you go into the level 1, you can go into a Synchro 6, or you can go into a Synchro 7. There's a lot of option, yep. A lot of option between Synchro 6 and Synchro 9. And unfortunately for us, this is all out of an FTK, so I don't actually have an end board. Like, actually, let's just skip through this because I legitimately do not have an end board here. Yep. Draw 3 and then... yep. Basically draw 3 and pray that you can survive. We use Callby on Engraver here because Engraver from the hand is like almost an FTK versus most decks. I summon, so I decided here to go into, or like try to negate Ice Ryziel because I wanted to force them out of the Fiendsmith cards entirely this turn. So I thought to myself that Nibiru would be enough of a hedge against the Ryziel cards on their own. Like, it would have eventually minused me a little bit, but this was fine. So go battle phase, attack the Geogriffin, and this was my mistake, to be honest. I should have probably put it in attack. Yeah, this was a misplay. Geogriffin will get negated here, but without banishing. because they want to get rid of the Geogriffin. And also keep the Chaos Angel for some reason. Interesting way of going about it. So yep, this is actually forced into an attack on Hugin because this guy has a set card to see. While you control a set card, it cannot be attacked. Yep. So then they set a couple of cards and pass the turn. So yep, Runick Destruction activated in main phase 1 because we actually do want to bait out a droll if we could in this main phase 1. Just to get our opponent to like lose a body. The Groundskeeper here gets negated, and this is where I think I make a mistake because, yep, I decide to actually do waste my negate. This was a mistake. You do not do that. Like, yes, we do have a monster that he can just banish, or like a monster that he can attack over with 3500. But I don't think, like, yeah, Earthbound monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle. So he was gonna survive either way for next turn. But still. So like, here, look at what I'm gonna do with this whole thing. Like a Chaos Angel, even if it's made with lights and darks, I feel like that's not a good idea, especially with X being a potential top deck here. So yeah, they decide to use Bonfire, which is legitimately the worst case scenario there. Like, this was where I make a mistake of... Like, this is where Chaos Angel is a legitimate mistake on my end. Yep, and I decided to chain the Runick Destruction here to pop, just because I was praying basically to like stop the opponent from playing. And luckily they decide to give up. I don't know why they would give up, but sure. You know, we take those wins. Next game we have me on 4 hand traps plus a Runick, awesome hand. And then set and pass. So this is a bit of an interesting situation, yep. So I could have in theory, and this would have been the correct play, I think. I could have in theory just gone Destruction to add Fountain and then go into a Typhon. But I don't think I play Typhon in this deck in particular, just because the extra deck is that tight for the FTK. So I decided to like use the interactions of Runick as basically battle tricks. Battle tricks and pray that I can basically snipe his decent cards from the deck. And also because, yep, I just basically forced out the entire Detonator line of pops. Like, my opponent is not that good. He's like 656. Not the greatest Yu-Gi-Oh player in the world, let's be honest. And it shows. So yep, we go... And they decide not to attack because they know that this is an SP basically. Here this was optional. I didn't necessarily need to remove the Sleipnir since I kept the card in hand. So like if this was a back row that I set on the field, this would have been a reasonable idea to use Sleipnir right then and there. But nope, this was unnecessary. Like, it wasn't entirely correct to go into Sleipnir there. Use Sleipnir, I mean. So here's Sleipnir to summon a token. They do not have any solution to it. So here they go main phase 1 into battle phase. And then they decide to crash into the token. Lose their own body over a token. Yep. Pass turn into drawing and destruction. And I kept the black card in hand because I wanted this card for Hugin, obviously. In general, if you are in such difficult positions, your only hope is to use your Runicks as extenders rather than a way to draw, and then praying that you open Fountain. Like, you just basically pray that Sleipnir control gets you through a few turns. Yep, I thought a lot there. But like, you really cannot have you really cannot do anything in that position. I did contemplate using Hugin in that simplified game state before they have a hand trap, as you can see. But we do get tip. And Chainlink 1 tip, Chainlink 2 Artifact Lancia does not stop me from adding Fountain. So yep, we add Fountain. So here we activate Fountain. We signal OK because we wanna give the opponent the impression or prove to them that this is on a new Chainlink. I did get charked once for this. And they say GG because they cannot recover from this. I was just gonna go... Actually, I only play one field spell, but why would they know that I'm playing an FTK, you know? So overall, what is the main takeaway from this video, or from this replay in particular? It's two things. First of all, this is a no deck for a reason. I literally did not have anything functional going for me. And number two, even the best decks in the world are dogshit in the hands of dogshit players. Who could have guessed? Okay, so this second replay is, I think, between Runick Amorphage and Centurion? Yes, Centurion. I mean, this is not the most real deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Let's be real. Runick Amorphage is not a real deck. But it is funny. Like, who wouldn't want a greed reference when they're alive? So yeah, I'm not gonna bother looking at what the opponent is doing. We're just gonna skip over it. This is a Runick video. Four hand traps. And then another Blazar, because why not? So yep, we go Extrav into draw 6 and lose double Sleipnir, double Beyond the Pendulum. And then we go right south into Fenrir. And here I was sort of unironically just praying that they do end up using Blazar. And this is, okay, this is probably one of the first major mistakes that I ended up doing. The basic idea that I should have done is that I should have used Birth there, plus Unicorn to normal summon the Unicorn, obviously. And then I should have used Tip in order to add Fountain. And if they do have a solution to Tip here, which they do actually, I would have gotten, like, I would have been able to save the curses there. Because I could have just gone Fenrir Chainlink 1 and then, yeah, Fenrir Chainlink 1 to banish and chain block the Fenrir with Unicorn. Banish the Blazar, force it out early. And then we would have had the freezing curses to add the Fountain one more time. But it was an unfortunate hand regardless. Like, this hand, it's just not good enough. Like, this deck is not real enough, in any case. Does have potential, but not good enough potential. And Odd Eyes Revolution is basically a Rhoda for the deck. It searches any of the cards that you have. Here, since I already have Greed, I decided to go for a Gluttony. I don't know why. I guess it's because I also have Pride in my hand. But like, wouldn't you actually go here for a slot or something? I gotta look up my novel once again. Or like, a quote-unquote novel. So up next play we have me misplaying into going into SP Little Knight because I banished all of my Beyond the Pendulums. But not that it matters because they already had Valor plus an Ash Blossom for Tip. So yeah, this whole situation is just not... It really exemplifies that this is not a real deck, isn't it? Yep. Use both of the Kashtira monsters into just spray and really just cry, to be honest. Yeah, they were lagging. It's not like... You really don't need to stress out over this deck. And here, their only real hand trap is a Droll. So yeah, we're gonna lose. Yeah, we're gonna lose, without a doubt. Yep, just go ahead and do random link climbing bullshit. And then we do cry about it. I don't know, am I gonna even take another game off of him? I don't think I would. I don't think I'm gonna end up taking a game. What? The little sins only count on pen summons, while the big sins just do the floodgate. Yep, yeah, correct. The small sins are only on pendulum summon. Our hand is decent as well, but unfortunately they had Ash Blossom. And here in this... Okay, so interesting. So in this position I did have, I think, another way to play. Just off of going Hugin discard Gluttony. This was the theoretical, not the theoretical, but like as you see in the hand, this was the only play and the only correct play that I had, regardless of how much advantage he actually would have had. Because he already had Ash Blossom used up, so it's not impossible for Hugin to resolve in that position. But I decided to play it safe and just set all of my cards, I think. And I also decided not to set the Gluttony for some reason. I guess I wanted to... Oh yeah, because I wanted to play around them getting a draw off of Bestials. And unfortunately for me, for them they are playing a real deck, so Terraforming is full combo. Yay, let's not, I think, watch... Yep, let's just not watch another Centurion combo. GG's. So what is the takeaway from this video? Well, the sins are funny. The sins are funny. Almost. And the third video that we have, I actually do not know what this is. I think this might be for hire? No, this is, I think, the Hero Bestial Fiendsmith. The Hero Bestial? The Runick Bestial Hero Fiendsmith Resonator list. That whole entire pile, which I did not feature in a video even. Like, this is a pile that I developed after the tier list video. And in the tier list video itself, I only mentioned it in name that this is a potential idea. So hopefully I do have a good showcase there. But it's alright. We searched Lubellion in end phase just because we need the regained access. And yep, this is the Heroiator, an interesting name that I developed. So yeah, in draw phase we're... Oh, what am I doing it in main phase, huh? What? I guess it's because I suspected the card in hand is Veiler. But yeah, this should have been done in draw phase, the tip to add, just because you want to play around Droll in this format. And tip does end up resolving with adding Fountain. Yeah, I think I suspected that they had Veiler. Here we're gonna activate Fountain just because, in general, if you have Fountain, that's the first card that you play. Just because you want to turn all of your interactions, or all of your quick plays, into interactions if needed, rather than extenders. So, and here it would have been actually a decent interaction, just because you can pop this trap that they have, and I do know that it's like a self-Raigeki. And that was my plan basically. They did not know, but I think they do end up playing decent around it. Around this idea in particular, that I have an MST. So yeah, we go up next into Lubellion because, again, I knew that like destruction is an out to their entire board if played correctly. Lubellion will add Ruis Worm, and then we're gonna go Lubellion Effect, or Lubellion Summon Mechanic. Summon in attack, for some reason. Here we are gonna go Lubellion Effect, and they do rightfully decide to negate that because it's not bad. It's not a bad monster to stop. Here we do use Stratos to add... It should have, I think, been Stratos for follow-up. Because realistically, I wouldn't have had any way to stop or discard the Malicious. And here in this position, I think we used Ruis Worm. Oh right, I do play Fiendsmith there. Yep, that's just going into Fiendsmith here. Yep, Moon into Requiem into Lacrima. Lacrima effect will send the Engraver, just because we want to out at least the Spirit. Because actually, well, like, I don't know how to play this exactly, because I do know that this monster has a spell and trap negate, or like a card negate from the graveyard, so they can stop their own True Light from self-regeking. So I do end up banishing the Maiden of White. And I do think I'm playing it correctly here, because you could have in theory gone Engraver first into equip Requiem into Send, like before like committing into a Druid's Worm. But here in this position I decided it's more correct to, I think, go into the Synchro 10 line. Right? Yeah, this is me going into Synchro 10. Here they do chain it to stop, or like to dodge the Send, into Destruction to self-Raigeki, into them negating the Destruction, because, yep, that's a pretty deadly card to let it resolve. And here we do resolve it all into me drawing one off of tip, yep. Engraver will go ahead and send the Synchro 12. Oh. I mean, honestly, you could have just left. I could have just let him have. I could have just let the ultimate Spirit Dragon stay on the field. I think I would have had some sort of way to stop the True Light and send it to grave for like the self-Raigeki. But at the same time, this does have the way of like adding special summoning a monster from the graveyard. So I don't know. I'm not that skilled in this modern format to how this field should play out. But here we do end up negating with this pattern, just to like guarantee this gets outed. And here I think we go... oh, we special summon Mating first, okay. And then we link off both Light Fiends into Sequence. Sequence effect will most likely fusion summon the Desiree. Desiree will stay on the field, but Sequence will get linked off with the Maiden into SP. And here they do decide to set with the True Light. Yep, and this is where I decide to like equip the Sequence. Honestly, it's like this is a point that I was considering myself. So in this position, as they decided to set off of True Light, would it have been correct to actually use SP to banish itself and dispatter? This is something that I was considering, but I saw like not a lot of value out of it, because I thought at the end of the day that I shouldn't like try and indicate that I have a Runick in hand. And as you can see, it is gonna pay off in just a moment. So we're gonna go draw phase into main 1 into battle phase, and just basically stop the opponent entirely. Literally, this was a major move to like keep the SP on the field. It is the correct play, honestly. And they do decide to give up, because yep, this was a major mistake on their part. They should have seen that I had a Runick in hand. Overall, I think the main takeaway from this is that the Bestials are decent cards in general, even in Runick. A normal summon that you can play, plus a Lubellion, plus any quick play being like a whole lot of advantage. That's like a decent way to play Runick, to be honest. Another takeaway is that you should not play Malicious, let's be real. Fourth replay that we have is... I think this is a special one though. This is gonna be a special one. Yep, this is the For Hire. And despite us going first against really quite the magnificent hand out of Kashira, this was not winnable, let's be real. Okay, so fun fact that you probably noticed from the deck list is I'm playing only one Rookie for Hire. Why did I open it 2 games in a row? What? Anyway, it's not a bad card in this position in particular, just because you can dodge an Imperm on Hugin. But still, like, can we just not draw it for once? That would be nice, thank you. And here it's the Ash Blossom that was the most deadly part, to be honest. Would have been able to win the game otherwise. And we decide to go first. So I think I'm gonna go and skip over the Ferrari deck in general, just because I did show you a primer in my previous video, and I am gonna link it off here again, which basically showcases literally everything you can think of when it comes to this deck, like how you were supposed to play it. Literally, I think I made it for one of my exes. Yes, I have a lot of exes. And they're all like relationships that lasted like 1 to 2 days. So it's not like that serious. But yep, this deck is literally, as you can see, and this is not over, by the way. Like, we still got a long way to go. How much advantage do we have here? We are on 5, 11. We are on 11 to 4. Interesting. Yeah, and because I kept the Click and Echo in their hand, I just basically have full knowledge, and they don't have any way to play their Kashtira cards. This deck is an absolute menace to Kashtira. So I guess the main takeaway from this replay is that pseudo FTKs for Runick are decent as well. And lastly, we have, I think, this one is, I think, a really fun replay. So here in this position, my opponent didn't have a good hand, and I decided to capitalize on it. Could have probably waited for the field spell just because I am playing Runick, so I have easy access into SP. But nope, I decided not to. It's safer like this. And this Fountain Top deck is like insane, to be honest. This is, by the way, if you haven't noticed, this is a Sprite variant. And since I kept it to the end, this is like what I consider to be the best variants of Runick for a very long time. And it was the best variant across several formats as well. It's one of the most goated variants of all time. Runick Spriteator. Here in this position, they're gonna add or use what? Interesting. I would have personally stopped the tip there, just because the opponent is obviously not gonna let the fountain get negated with an Ash. So this was a good Ash personally. But you know, that's how the opponents sometimes play it. They think that one Ash is gonna be enough for something somehow. And then they negate the Hugin that's gonna add a freaking fountain for some reason. Like, who cares about a fountain in hand? So yeah, what is the combo gonna be? Okay, show hand. Ash out. Yes, I think that was correct. Rather than like basically summoning Sprite Red and playing as if they don't have hand traps. I think this was correct. And then drawing 2 at the end. And they do immediately concede once they see that I'm a billion steps ahead of them. Next game we have Yep. Here we are gonna go Fualos for some reason, instead of waiting for this position. And I just immediately concede because, like, Droll is such a massive pain for Runick in general. It's, what can you say, you know? Here in this position, Spriteator decides to start with Lubellion, which I think is correct. Add Magnamot. Tip to add. I think... Okay. This was another error that my opponent has done. which they are a little bit higher rated than me. Here I would have honestly personally 100% stopped the tip. Obviously it's a bait for something, but like tip is an insane card to freaking let go. And like you know that it's gonna add fountain at the end of the day. So I don't know why he decided not to Ash. This was basically me trying to even bait an Ash, because I already had fountain. Basically, so the idea here is that I wanted to BM my opponent a little bit. But no, they did not actually waste it. They actually had a brain cell for once. Here this was a decent banish, I think. And like I think they only play 3 Ponyx or 2 Ponyx. I think it's the Ulcanix that they play 3 of, because it's like a 1-card starter in a way. So here I do try to hedge my bets against a Fualos, because you could have, and also an Ash, because I could have just used the Slumber on the next chain link here to like banish 3 and get a, you know, get a free banish 3 on the opponent. But I decided to respect the Ash a little bit, despite the opponent not taking an Ash bait. Yeah, actually I think that's actually one of the reasons why I decided to try to bait Ash in the first place, because I knew that I would have had Slumber in hand, so I wanted to get more banishes out of the opponent. Like here in this general position, if the opponent doesn't have Ash Blossom, you would try to banish as much as possible out of them by praying they don't have Ghost Ogre plus Enimburn. But the opponent did have an Ash Blossom, and they decided to use it on the Hugin for some reason. I don't. Someone please enlighten me, to be honest. And here we go into the Resonator line. Yep, Sprint sent a level 2 add a tuner basically from the deck to the hand. Yes, Hugin plus any monster in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a tuner in hand, a level 2 tuner. And this is decent. How did I get Lubellion in hand? Huh? I don't know. Interesting. So here I felt like this was a bit of a bait for a nib, but unfortunately for them, they do have. And here I decided to banish with SP one of my own cards, because I wanted it for follow-up. Could have banished their own for a negate, but no, I think this was better. Almost. Here in this position you can see that I actually did make a mistake. Actually, did I? No, I think it was fine. A bit of a blowout with the Lightning Storm, to be honest. Yep, I ashed the Fire King Island because I decided that no matter what the other card in hand is, it wouldn't have been able to compete with the board. But here in this position, as you can see, any deck that isn't Runick that summons Typhon basically loses the game. That's like always the case. So you know, as soon as you see Typhon on the field of a deck that isn't Runick, you know the game is lost for them. Here they do make a lot of mileage out of this Typhon, just because they remove most of my end board. And I do actually also lose on the Resonator. I think I only play 2 of him. So you know, I have to pray that I open him here if I want to get back into everything. Like, who cares, to be honest? I can just go into a full Runick combo once again. Yeah, Hugin to add Fountain off of discarding Loop Lion. And here we decide to do a bit of BMing. You saw how my opponent was spamming the OK signals a little bit, so I decided to BM him a little bit and respond in kind, basically. I do think I am a bit funny, yes. Here in this position, they decide that they are somehow able to win the game. I think they're just mostly salty about this whole situation. Because like, here in this position, look at this, look at this. My opponent has literally 0 playable cards. And for some reason, they decide that they can play. For some reason, they still decide that they can play. And when do they give up? As soon as they see that their only Runick is gone. I guess that's what happens when you are being toxic to the opponent. Here you go, you saw a bit of a salty replay. A silent salty replay, but salty nonetheless. So what is the main takeaway from this? I think the main takeaway is that this is the best variant of Runick for a reason. This is an insane deck, let's be real. And I do think this is the deck that has Herald of Arclight, which hoses a lot of decks in this format. So yeah, overall I don't think this video was the most effective at being a lesson, because again, I think if you want to learn Runick, I think it's better to go and watch my Runick for Hire primer, which I do explain in it a lot of how Runick is played out as well, in general without the for hire part. Honestly, like I said it before and I'll say it again, if you want to play Runick in Yu-Gi-Oh, just don't. Not because it's a bad deck or unfun, but because Yu-Gi-Oh itself is not a good hobby to have. Personally, I would ask you to not even try to buy the game or play it in real life at all. Like it's not a bit of a boycott or like actively seeking to damage the company, but I do think that their handling of it is a little bit dog water. The ban list handling and the rewards handling of Yu-Gi-Oh and like the soaring prices in the second market, there's like the inconsistent release schedules, the power creep. I can just go on for like I think 12 or 13 reasons. Like I literally have 13 reasons for why I quit Yu-Gi-Oh. This is why you are gonna probably not gonna see me play Yu-Gi-Oh almost ever again. This was all I wanted to showcase when it comes to Runick. Just a little bit nice and simple. I wanted to keep my channel dedicated for like the variety content, because I do have bigger plans than catering for the 5 players that are still playing Runick. I will see you in a next video, which is hopefully not Runick once again. Take care and later.